Hey y'all! Hey and stuff! Welcome to episode 1 of Kingofpopradio. And today we are gonna get into some things, child. Listen, y'all, I have been putting together a topic, a theory that I wanted to discuss with you guys for quite some time now. But I wanted to deliver it in the best way possible to you. And, I wanted to know what I was talking about. I didn't want to just, throw something out there, y'all. So today we are going to get into it. And today I'm so happy and so proud to present this observational theory that I put together called the MJ effect. Okay? So y'all put your headphones in. If you're taking a walk, plug them in, girl. Get ready to zone out. Now pay attention though. Don't trip. Don't trip when you're walking now. If you're driving, turn your volume on up. Okay, get comfortable and enjoy today's podcast of episode 1 of Kingofpopradio.
It's one of those things where if you bring his name up at a dinner party, the air in the room changes instantly.
Oh, immediately. You can actually feel the temperature drop.
Right, and it's not just because he's famous. I mean, you can talk about Elvis or Madonna or Prince, and people might have opinions, but they don't get visceral. With Michael Jackson, it feels like everyone is holding a loaded gun.
Right. When it comes to Michael Jackson, it becomes personal. It now becomes a literal trigger.
That is the perfect image for it. It's defensive.
Exactly, and that's what we're digging into today. We aren't doing a biography, we aren't doing a relitigation of court cases. We are looking at us, the audience. Why are we so incapable of being neutral about this one specific man? We're basing this conversation on a fascinating piece by Gloria Ellis from Kingofpopradio called The MJ Effect, Why People Can't Stay Neutral. And her thesis is pretty provocative. She says Michael Jackson doesn't just exist in culture, he activates it.
It's a brilliant way to frame it, because when you look at the psychological data, Jackson isn't just a celebrity case study. He's essentially a massive global Rorschach test. You know those ink blot tests psychologists use? You look at the ink and see a butterfly. I look at it and see a monster. The ink hasn't changed, the viewer has. And Ellis's point, which I think is crucial, is that we project our own fears, our morals, and our anxieties onto him. He becomes a screen.
Absolutely. Specifically, like in the Black community, for me, growing up, like Michael was made fun of in Black media a lot. I mean, in white media too, but it was sort of like this thing where he looks creepy, he acts creepy, so he must be creepy and he must be guilty. That's how they would associate it versus, I believe it was like Bad era, like towards the end of the Bad era, where Michael still looked presentable, I guess, if you want to say to the public. Now, you can't really ask me because I always think that man was fine, so you can't ask me these questions. But around that era, people were still supporting Michael, like, oh yeah, no, he's innocent. But that was associated with how he looked. So to the public, he still looked good. He still looked handsome, attractive. So they associated that with his innocence, and they supported him more with his innocence because of how he looked, versus later in his life when Michael had a few more surgeries or whatever you want to say, and Michael got lupus and the vitiligo started to really take over. Then now, oh wait, he looks like a monster. Not to me, but to the public. So they associated that with him being guilty. But I believe that the fans, we truly see like his essence and his light in everything that he does. So no matter how his appearance changed, that never changed for us. And it became, we have to protect his innocence because he is this innocent being to us. But to the public, they look at him and they see something that they are afraid of now, or they see someone who they believe destroyed their face. So now they associate that with him being guilty.
But isn't that true for all celebrities? I mean, Taylor Swift is a screen for how people feel about feminism or capitalism right now. How is MJ different?
It's the scale, and it's the nature of the contradictions. You have to remember the historical context here. In the early 80s, during the Thriller era, Michael wasn't just popular. He was ubiquitous in a way that is technically impossible today because the media landscape is so fragmented. Back then, you had 3 channels and MTV. He was on all of them. He was quite literally a monoculture event. Psychologically, that creates what we call the halo effect on a massive scale.
The halo effect. That's where if someone is beautiful or talented, we assume they're also morally good, right?
Precisely. It's a cognitive bias. We see high talent, high charisma, and immense success, and our brains take a shortcut. He is great at singing, therefore he is a great person. We built him into a literal Disney prince. But the higher the pedestal, the more severe the psychological crash when things get complicated. And with Michael, they talk complicated in ways that touched on society's deepest nerves: race, gender, sexuality, and children.
That's the activating part Alice talks about. But let's play devil's advocate. When people react negatively to him, let's say they see a photo of him and get angry, they would say they aren't projecting. They'd say they are reacting to evidence, to the allegations, to the behavior.
And that is a fair pushback. But here is where we have to look at how the brain processes information, specifically through something called heuristics, or cognitive shortcuts. Gloria mentions this in her article, The Equation of A plus B equals C. The human brain is lazy. That's not an insult, it's biology. We want to conserve energy. Nuance takes a lot of calories. So if we see something that looks weird or different, we often default to the horn effect, which is the opposite of the halo effect.
Okay, so if the halo effect is he's talented, so he's good, the horn effect is...
He looks strange, so he must be bad. Think about the 90s and 2000s. You had the changing skin color, the surgeries, the masks. This triggers something called category anxiety. Humans like clear boxes, black or white, male or female, adult or child. Michael blurred every single one of those lines simultaneously. That ambiguity triggers a deep primal discomfort in people. We interpret that discomfort as a moral alarm bell. We think, I feel weird looking at him, therefore he must be doing something evil.
That's heavy. You're saying we confuse our own aesthetic confusion with moral judgment?
We do it all the time, but with him, it was amplified by a media machine that discovered it could monetize that confusion. This is the second pillar of the MJ effect: sensationalism. We have to look at the media landscape of the 90s. This was the birth of the 24-hour news cycle. You had the O.J. Simpson trial, you had Princess Diana, and you had Michael Jackson. These were the three pillars of the new infotainment economy.
I remember that shift. It went from Walter Cronkite reporting facts to hard copy and Inside Edition playing ominous music while zooming in on someone's face.
Exactly, and fear sells. Outrage sells better. The media realized that treating Michael as a freak, using that specific word, was profitable. So the narrative wasn't just reporting, it was myth-making in reverse. Instead of the god, he became the monster. And once you dehumanize someone to the level of spectacle, the audience stops critically thinking. They just consume. As Ellis points out, once someone becomes a spectacle, you stop asking, is this true? And start asking, what's the headline?
It's interesting you mention that because one of the specific examples Ellis brings up is the guilt by association phenomenon. She specifically mentions the recent internet obsession with photos of Michael Jackson and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this is a huge talking point online.
It is, and it's a textbook example of a logical fallacy. Guilt by association is where you assume that because person A stood next to person B, they share person B's crimes. We see a photo, and the brain snaps to a conclusion. Epstein is a monster. Michael is in a photo with him.
I was actually quite surprised at how many people were defending Michael in the comments. And then, of course, there were the select few people who were like, yup, he did it. Whatever it was, he did it because he was with Epstein. Like, it just amazes me how people just don't think. Like, just because someone is in the photo with someone doesn't mean they know that person's history or their skeletons in their closet.
It feels logical, but it's not evidence. It's a shortcut. We don't do this with everyone. Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Alec Baldwin, Woody Allen, they are all in photos with Epstein too. But with Michael, the photo confirms a bias people already hold.
Right, it confirms the narrative that's been built up for 30 years. It's confirmation bias.
Spot on. And this leads to the concept of cognitive dissonance. This is the mental discomfort you feel when you hold two conflicting beliefs. For a lot of the public, the idea that Michael Jackson could be the greatest entertainer of all time, a humanitarian and innocent of crimes, while also being a strange, eccentric figure who made terrible PR decisions, that's too messy. It's too complex. It's easier to just pick a side. Either he's a saint who did nothing wrong ever, or he's a demon who deceived us all.
There's no room for the gray area, and I think that's why the online debates get so toxic. I've seen people get ripped apart on Twitter just for saying something like, "I like the song Billie Jean." It's like by acknowledging his art, you're accused of endorsing his alleged crimes. Or conversely, if you say, "I believe the accusers," the fans will attack you as if you're trying to burn down the Library of Alexandria.
That's because it's not about the man anymore. It's about identity. For the fans, and I've studied parasocial relationships, which is that one-sided bond we form with celebrities, Michael isn't just a singer. He represents their childhood. He represents a time when they felt happy. He represents the underdog. So when you attack him, you are attacking their safe space. You are attacking them.
Absolutely. But I don't think that it's just a one-sided relationship. I do believe that Michael loved his fans deeply. And of course, the way we defend him is a little bit obsessive, but it's because we feel like we have to protect the man that he was, or at least the man he portrayed to be, which was a man of principle. It is our duty because Michael is so objectified. They use him as a utility. Essentially, he is a utility for outrage.
A utility for outrage. I like that phrasing. It's like he's a renewable resource for clicks.
He is the ultimate renewable resource. If a media outlet is having a slow month, or if Twitter needs a villain of the day, Michael is always there. He's dead, so he can't sue you, he can't defend himself. He is a static target that you can paint whatever narrative you want onto. And because of the MJ effect, that activation, you are guaranteed engagement. You mention his name, and the algorithm lights up.
It makes you wonder, if we strip away the noise, what is actually left? If we stop reacting to the trigger and stop taking the cognitive shortcut, what do we see?
We see complexity. And complexity is cognitive strength. It is a sign of intelligence to be able to hold two opposing ideas in your head at once. You can acknowledge that his behavior was eccentric and boundary-pushing without automatically convicting him of a crime based on a vibe. You can acknowledge that he was a victim of a ravenous media culture while also acknowledging that he put himself in situations that looked compromising.
It's the refusal to collapse the wave function. You have to let it remain messy.
And that is hard. It's intellectually demanding. But the alternative is what we have now. A polarized shouting match where no one is listening and everyone is just signaling their own virtue. When we say context matters, we aren't making excuses. We are demanding accuracy. Just because Michael is in a photo with someone bad doesn't mean he did what they did. That is a logical fallacy. But to see that, you have to turn off the emotional part of your brain that screams, "Burn the witch," and turn on the logical part.
And that brings us back to Gloria's main point. The MJ effect isn't really about Michael. It's about us. It's about our inability to handle someone who doesn't fit the binary. We want him to be a saint or a demon. We can't handle him being a complex, traumatized, brilliant, flawed human being.
Because if he's a human being, then we have to feel bad about how we treated him. If he's a monster, we're justified. If he's a saint, we're justified. But if he's just a man who was arguably the greatest entertainer of all time, but also a person with deep scars and a life that was essentially a fishbowl from age 5, that's tragic. And tragedy is harder to consume than scandal.
Tragedy doesn't make for good clickbait. Thinking about the future of this topic, do you think this will ever settle? Will we ever reach a point where Michael Jackson is just a historical figure, like Mozart or Chaplin, where the passion cools down?
I don't think so. Not for a long time. Because the issues he activates, race, childhood, sexuality, fame, those are the central tensions of our culture. As long as we are fighting about those things, we will fight about Michael Jackson. He is the intersection of all of them.
He is the intersection. That's a powerful place to leave it.
We started this episode by saying we weren't going to diagnose Michael, but I think we've diagnosed the culture around him. The takeaway here isn't to tell you what to believe about his guilt or innocence. It's to ask you to notice how you believe it. Are you thinking or are you reacting? Are you looking for truth or are you looking for closure?
And if you find yourself reaching for the simple story, the easy villain or the perfect angel, maybe pause. Reality is usually messy, and Michael Jackson's story is about as messy as it gets.
It really is. This has been a heavy one, but I think a necessary one. If you found this breakdown of the MJ effect interesting, share it with someone who you know has strong opinions on this. I guarantee it'll start a conversation.
Thank you guys for tuning into the first episode of Kingofpopradio. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Drop it in the comments. What did you think of the MJ effect? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Bye.